I was about 12 years old at the time. My brother and I spent the summer helping my uncle build a house in Meridian, Mississippi. We were there for a month or so when I had an encounter. I had gone into the woods some distance, 1/2 mile, from the home with a BB gun. I was by myself at the time and remember seeing something moving very quickly, as if on a dirt bike or motorcycle, crossing me at an angle to my left. I remember thinking the rider was wearing a brown helmet and brown leather coat, watching it jump and moving very fast through the thick forest. As I watched, I realized there was no sound from an engine, only the sound of snapping sticks as it went by. I was terrified at the idea that I had seen a Bigfoot or whatever and ran back to the house and never spoke of it to anyone at the time. When I was 8 or 9 years old, my sister, some friends, and I were swimming in a small water hole, more like a wide spot in a creek, behind the military housing. Probably about 400 yards into the woods. I wasn't swimming, I was sitting down at the side of the water hole with my feet in the water but kind of drawn up beside me, and my sister was sitting between my legs and the water. We were all just playing around, being pretty loud, and I don't know if I heard something, caught some movement out of the corner of my eye or what, but my attention was drawn to a large bush on the other side of the swimming hole. I sat there staring at this bush for a good 30 or 40 seconds, maybe a full minute, before I realized what it was I was seeing. There was a face looking at me from behind, between some branches. The face was very big, flat, dark brown, almost black, eyes were black. I thought at the time that the eyes were looking at me with curiosity or amusement. It didn't look evil, menacing, or well, you know. I don't remember a mouth or nose. I remember the hands being huge, gigantic, the size of baseball mitts. It seemed like I was looking at it for minutes or longer, but couldn't have been that long, and all of a sudden I was just terrified. I picked up my sister and screaming ran out of there, and everybody just followed me out. I was the only one who saw it. My friends wanted to know why I was so scared. I told them it was Old Man Walker, a hermit who supposedly lived way back in the woods, and would shoot at you if he saw you, and they were okay with that. I didn't want to believe what I saw, but it defiantly was not an old man. I found it very comforting to know I was not the only one to have seen something so frightening. Thinking about my encounter, I was in no way threatened, and I don't know why I was so frightened, but to this day I still wake up with nightmares. As a teenager in York, Alabama, we would drive to Meridian, Mississippi, the nearest large town, and cruise for entertainment. One evening in August, 2 friends and I decided to drive down a highway that went southwest out of Meridian. I can't recall how far down this highway we went, but we turned off on a dirt road that went east. On this road, we stopped to answer the call of nature. One got out on the driver's side and the other friend and I got out on the passenger side. In the high beams ahead of us, we could see a 1-lane bridge. There was a large oak tree across the ditch from us on the passenger side of the car. While we were standing outside of the car talking, a loud noise started coming from up in the tree, it sounding like a grunt and growl combined. The noise was repeated several times and one of the tree limbs started thrashing up and down. Our eyes had not adjusted to the darkness and we could not see what was making the noise. As we were looking, something large jumped out of the tree and landing in the ditch. It then started running down the ditch. As you can imagine, this had us pretty shook up already, but that was nothing compared to the feeling we had when the animal ran into the area ahead of the car that was illuminated by the headlights on bright. The animal was running on 2 legs, it was covered in grayish-black hair, it was extremely well muscled, we could see the muscles rippling as it ran. The ditch it was running in was 2.5 to 3 feet deep and my eyes were level with the back of its head. I am 6 feet tall, so I estimate the animal at 8.5 to 9 feet tall. The back of its head was shaped like a teardrop that is flat on top. We could not tell the length of its arms as they were bent at the elbow as it ran, but the elbows were pumping back and forth as it ran. When it reached the bridge, it jumped down the bank in one bound and was out of sight, but we could hear its footsteps going south for several seconds. We were so scared we jumped in the car, turned around, and got out of there as fast as we could go. It was months before I worked up the courage to go back in the daylight, and by then any sign it would have left was long gone. I have been an avid hunter and outdoorsman since the age of 8, and I have never seen an animal like that before or since.